Welcome to episode 1 of Fulfilled with Isimemen. I am so excited to be here with you. This podcast has been a long time coming. Now, in this episode, I am breaking down my sabbatical, why I went on the sabbatical, what led up to the sabbatical, some of the revelations on my sabbatical. And my hope and prayer is that this episode encourages you, that you see God in it, that you see a strategy for yourself in it, and that you start to take it a little easy on yourself. So let me give you a little bit of background. I am a Nigerian immigrant and I came to this country when I was 5 months old. But being a Nigerian girl has always been such a big part of my identity. I love it. My church is mostly Nigerian. I'm eating Nigerian food, the clothes, the culture. I understand Yoruba. I love it. And part of being an immigrant and coming from an immigrant family is this, I don't know if pressure to perform is the fair word, but a desire for children to do really well. So my parents wanted me to do really well. They wanted me to be a doctor. For many of us, we know it's doctor, lawyer, engineer. And from a young age, that's kind of been put in our minds. And not because our parents are bad people, but they wanted us to have a better life than they did. And my dad actually desired to be a doctor, and some things happened that cut that dream short. And so he looked at me, his firstborn, and he's like, "Baby, you will be our doctor." And I said, "Yes, sir, I will." And funny enough, my dad taught me how to read when I was 3 years old. And so I'd always loved learning. I had a propensity for learning. I was drawn to challenging work, and I loved it. And I loved the praise. Come on, high performers, y'all know where I'm going with this. I love the praise. I loved the accolades. I loved doing well. It was like fuel for me. And I loved seeing my parents smile when I had done well. And so my parents, they worked really, really hard, did the best they could. They were, phenomenal in their own right. And here I am, this little girl who just goes through elementary school and I'm the class president and I'm getting all these wonderful grades. And I hit high school and I'm like, okay, well, what kind of doctor am I going to be? I'm going to be an anesthesiologist because that's the one that makes the most money. No rhyme or reason. I just Google, hello, who makes the most money? Anesthesia, bad. That's what I'm going to be. And so that was just the kind of girl I was. I just loved working hard. And so I get to college and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be Miss Doctor. And long story short, I'm gonna do a whole other episode on my college journey and my journey to clarity. But I failed a class, organic chemistry 2. Shout out to all my friends who failed organic chemistry 2. Y'all know who y'all are. Failed the class. And it was such a beautiful God moment in retrospect. In that moment, I was freaking out. I remember begging God to actually help me pass. And I was like, God, did you hear the prayers? I guess not. But, he knows best, and what happened in that moment was I sat down and I said, "Okay, this doctor thing, I don't really think it's for me." Because I didn't have that oomph to push through. When you are not in purpose and when you're not doing what you're called to do, when things get really hard, you will find that you don't have the fuel to push through because purpose is the fuel that pushes us through those hard times when we are walking in alignment and walking in our calling. And so I realized that I wasn't really connected to this dream. It's just something that I'd always done because I was told to do it. And I started this journey of getting really clear on what it is I wanted to do, changing my major multiple times. That was interesting. And, I landed on a role that I really loved. I landed in a career that I eventually really loved. So, what was interesting was I built my childhood and my sense of self around this concept of self sufficiency, around striving, pushing past every barrier, pushing to be the best. My dad raised me on the concept of no one is better than you. And if she could do it, you could do it too. And he had incredibly beautiful intentions when he said that, and that did fuel me. And I have been this high achiever and have done great things by God's grace, but there was a dark underbelly to it. And that is what I came head to head with this year, which I will share about more. And so I had built this foundation of self sufficiency. And even when I got saved and I began to know the Lord, I even let that impact how I dealt with God. It was this self-sufficiency, like, "Oh, I'm strong enough. I'm good enough. I could be this good Christian. Let me go, let me go, let me go." And how many of y'all know that also had to be rebuilt because I was unable to lean into God's goodness and lean into his provision. It was a lot of me striving, me striving, me striving. And so I had built this foundation. And what ended up happening is when I went on maternity leave this fourth time, that foundation began to crack. It's like I had been building on it for years, had a baby, built a business, had another baby, kept building the business, had another baby, kept building the business, all while building a home, all while building this marriage, all while building ministry, all while building my friendships, all while building myself, right? So I'm building, building, building. And finally, the foundation begins to crack. And here's what happened. I'll never forget the night that I went into the office. It had to be December, sometime in December. I was about to come off maternity leave. So I had my baby in November. I had already been on maternity leave a bit of October, had the baby, and it's December, and I'm getting ready to start work again in January. New year, new me, new goals, new revenue goals. Come on, let's get it, baby. But I did not recognize myself. Y'all, when I tell you, I like work. I do. I love the work I do. I love what comes with it. I just love it. I could not find it in me to get back up and to start work. I was literally dreading coming back. Other times you had to hide my computer because I was ready, okay? I was dreading it. And I was like, what is going on? I remember walking into the office and I looked at my husband. I said, babe, I cannot do this. I can't. And I was either in tears or near tears. And I said I couldn't go back to work. I was not ready. I wasn't ready for the responsibility. I have a team. We have payroll. We have expenses. Whether mama is on maternity leave or what, the bills need to be paid. Okay? And of course, before then, we had put things in place by God's grace, carried me through maternity leave. Though I wasn't working and I was out of the business, my team was still running it. God is good. And so I came to him and I just wasn't ready. And one of the biggest mistakes we can make is pushing through when we need to stop. And Black women, high achieving Black women, we are number one perpetrators when it comes to this. Just push through, just push through, just push through. And I understand that everyone's life is different. I thank God I have a husband. He's extremely supportive. He covers us, takes care of us. He's such a provider. And I know every woman does not have that opportunity. But what I will push you on is this. We can always find a way to create space for our healing and space for a pause. That could look like pausing for a day, taking some of that PTO, pausing for a weekend, hello PTO, pausing for a week. And for some people, they could do it for a month. So here's what happened next. I will never forget the night where I walked into the office and I told my husband, babe, I cannot do this. I cannot go back to work. I just can't. And I'd already been off about 3 months. It was time for me to get back to work, new revenue goals, new clients, new growth, new everything. But when I tell you I was not feeling it, there was nothing in me that could bring myself to start work again, that could bring myself to go back into responsibility and it's time to lead and it's time to pay these bills and payroll and all these things. And usually these are things that fire me up and get me excited, but not this time. And it was more than just having a baby. This was my fourth baby. Remember I talked about that foundation, right? You put that fourth baby on top and it was different. It hit differently. But I know God was working something in the background. So put the fourth baby on top. And all of a sudden, I don't even want to go back to work. I don't want to do anything. I'm too tired. I'm too everything. But it was deeper than just, oh, I'm waking up the baby. I'm tired. Something in me was tired. That self-sufficiency, that, oh, I'm the one that always gets it done. It was time for it to break and it was time for it to crack. And the baby was a little cherry on top. Again, I didn't know that, but that's what was going on in the background. So I came to my husband. I told him, I need this time. I need more time off. I'm not ready. He looked at me full chest. He said, do it. Do it. And I knew what that meant. I knew what his yes in that moment meant. We have 4 kiddos. We live in Washington, D.C., which is one of the highest cost of living cities, right? My son's daycare is a little mortgage. Food is a mortgage. Everything is a mortgage, right? Eggs are $11. but my husband do it. And we took money from our savings to cover the rest of that sabbatical. And it was such an incredible act of love. But guess what? I couldn't receive it, not in that moment. The fixer in me, the high performer in me, that I'm addicted to doing well and winning, and the winning is intertwined with my identity. So if I'm not actively winning, then who I am, that girl was breaking down. How could I just take time off? How irresponsible is that? I'm supposed to be walking side by side with my husband and being a support and an asset and not a liability. I remember the day I said that to him because it took me a couple days to really get this. I was like, babe, and I'm crying. This is a separate conversation. I'm supposed to be an asset, not a liability. And he literally looked at me like, where did you get this idea? See, this is why you need the sabbatical. This is why you need. He got in that tail. This is why you need time off because I don't know where you got these toxic mindsets, but this is not God. This is not right. This is not real. This is not you. And I said, okay. And I talked to my therapist. I talked to my auntie. My auntie was my mentor. I talked to my best friend, everybody. And they were like, Isi, take the time off. And so I did it. I took the time off. But man, when your identity is built on being the one who holds it all together, you get scared when you finally let go. But I had to. I had to because my trust in my life had shifted from believing in God and on Him ever so subtly to trusting myself. Now I will never come out and be like, oh yeah, I trust myself. I don't trust God. But I had to watch the mindset, watch the shift. My inability to let go is because I believed I was the one holding it together and not Him. So I went on sabbatical for 3 additional months. And to be honest, it was only supposed to be January, February, and March. It went into April, a couple weeks into April. And I would say I didn't really find my bearing and come back to work until maybe the last week in April, first week in May. Now, here's what's interesting. I always shared this analogy with my clients around becoming a slingshot in your life. There are pivotal moments where you need to take a step back, almost pull back, so that when you are released, you will go further than you ever have before. And I was entering into a slingshot moment or a slingshot season where I was just going to sit down, get quiet, figure my life out, get clear, hear God, and get healed. And yes, could I do that while working? And maybe. But what I really needed was a moment to catch my breath. And some of you need a moment to catch your breath. So many of you need to stop. Stop running. Stop getting the second degree. Stop the job search. Stop everything and give yourself a moment to listen. Give God an opportunity to speak to your heart, to whisper truths, to trade in the toxic fumes of high performer, I can do it. Oh my gosh, it's me, me, me. To trade it for trust, to trade it for reliance, to trade it for rest. And that's what I did. So I get on sabbatical. And of course, I set goals because, of course, I'm going to set some goals for my sabbatical. And the goals really were focused on, and actually, let me pull them out. 1 second. Okay, so here are my goals, the goals I set for my sabbatical. Get insane clarity, get lots of rest, get household running on systems because 4 kids, hello. Have a strong body and start working out. Finish reading a book in the Bible, a specific book in the Bible. Implement the new systems that I've planned. Stop work completely. Seek the kingdom. Okay. Now, some of these are great, but I still had goals. So I set these goals. But what actually happened? I spent most of my sabbatical crying out to God for clarity because clarity is the most important thing on your journey of purpose, fulfillment, getting to the next level. If you don't know where you're going, it does not matter what you do. And I needed that clarity again. Clarity is also the fuel that carries you through. It keeps you excited. It gives you that to win. I had zero, zilch, not I was done. So I spent my time crying out for clarity. I spent my time finding my bearings as a mama of four. I spent my time resting and being kind to myself. I also spent my time having some serious breakthroughs with my really, really amazing therapist. I spent a lot of time with my children, and this is something you'll hear on this podcast. I believe deeply in intentional parenting, or whatever name it has this week. It's parenting that humanizes children, parenting that honors them, parenting where we are talking and learning and figuring things out together, and just seeing the humanity in them. It requires a ton of patience. Oh my gosh. I'd be lying to y'all if I didn't tell you that I wanted to square up with my kids. I'm sorry. There were moments where I was like, should we just fight? Because what is happening? But we didn't choose that road. So I spent a lot of time loving them and connecting with them and being a patient, loving mom and reconnecting with the beauty and honor and glory in motherhood. Because sometimes when you get really deep in that building business, building career bag, you start to forget what God is putting you as it relates to motherhood. And so I really, really connected with that again. And it was beautiful. I had some serious breakthroughs, which I'll be sharing in the next episodes. So make sure you listen to that one. Serious breakthroughs around how I see God and the role he plays in my life and in my success. And I began to enter this level of rest and understanding that was so beautiful. There's a moment I just have to share with you. I was sitting with my therapist. And again, this woman, she's a born again Christian. I love spending time with her because she deals with me from that place. I love the word. I love Jesus. God is the commander, leader of my life, lordship, all the good stuff. And I needed someone who understood that I see my life through him. And she gets that. And I'll never forget a session we had where I was literally comparing myself to others. Look at these incredible women that I know and love who are running and they're killing it and they're building and they're growing and they're doing all these things. And because I had been so programmed to believe that if she can do it, I can do it too, I was beginning to suffer. Oh my goodness, look at me. I'm literally sitting here at home and all I do all day is not much. I'm figuring out my life and I'm getting healing, all these fluffy things, which are very important, but high performer problems. But I should be out there and why am I not running and why am I breaking down? And in that session, I cried my eyeballs out because I came to the realization that I am not these women. I am Isimemen Jobi. And God has a very specific, particular call and purpose for me. I am insanely unique. There's no one else like me that has my story and my journey. And so there is a place to be inspired by people as they run and do incredible, beautiful things. But everything must be seen through the lens of what God is calling you to do in that particular season. Rest in his calling and purpose and will for your life. In that moment, I just released and I admitted to her, I can't do everything. I am not Superwoman. I need God to carry me. If he doesn't, I'm done. And when I tell you a peace that passeth all understanding overwhelmed me, swept me up. Oh my goodness, I can't even put into words. It was beautiful. And that was the beginning of my personal transformation and healing journey in a way that I did not even know I needed. In the next episode, I'm going to walk you through the 7 revelations I received during my sabbatical that have altered my life and how I now walk out my success, how I now walk out my calling, how I now walk out purpose, and do it all while being a wife, a mother, a business owner, a sister, a friend, a ministry leader, and a woman leading thousands of other women in their calling. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to share with you.